Man, that was something. I think I should just sit down. I'm telling you, when you let Ingrid Sanders Jones get a hold of something, you never know what's going to come out. Thank you so much, Ingrid. I stand here this morning as living proof, Muhtar, that Coca-Cola is a breakfast drink. Everybody on my staff, I thought since I had you here, I would give you my own personal marketing idea. It certainly got me elected mayor. I would not have been able to do it without it. But I want to thank you, Muhtar, for that very kind introduction. You are an exemplar of business excellence, civic leadership, and a friend to all citizens of Atlanta and of the world. I would also like to thank my friend Phil Kent and Turner Broadcasting Inc. for the irreplaceable leadership that you give on a number of initiatives which make our city better. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate the partnership the city and Coca-Cola have forged over the so many years and the efforts you have made personally to make this State of the City breakfast possible. It is an outstanding annual event, and I look forward to returning next year to report the tremendous progress we have made to make the city of Atlanta safer, financially strong, environmentally conscious, and a place of opportunity for our children, our workforce, our citizens, and business. To City Council President Caesar Mitchell, the distinguished members of the Atlanta City Council, Chief Judge Deborah Green, and the members of the city's judiciary, other elected officials, I see Burl Ellis here from DeKalb, members of the Fulton County Commission, DeKalb County Commission, the Secretary of State, all elected officials, and every single guest who took time out of your day to come here this morning, I say welcome. I thank you all for being here today. It is always a great occasion when our community's leading lights can convene in solidarity and support of the common tie which binds us all, the city of Atlanta. The future is quite literally in our hands this morning. You see, I understand that the nature of this forum calls upon the mayor to essentially characterize the overall condition in which the city finds itself, to share an informed assessment of the strength of its institutions and collective will, and finding any room for improvement, to lay out a plan of action which leads us to a resurgent path. 100 days as mayor is but a brief period. However, it has afforded me more than enough time to share the very distinct impressions I have gained since taking the oath of office. All things considered, an appropriate mantra at the outset of my administration would be to simply yet accurately state and calmly state that this is a time for strength. We're all in this together. Be you from the business or faith community, representing an educational or government institution, we must repair the breach that has resulted from the shifting economic ties that we all face. Certainly there are loftier and more philosophical benchmarks that could be offered this morning, but now is not the time for abstraction. Now is the time for us to roll up our sleeves, stand shoulder to shoulder, and do the hard work, the difficult stuff, under austere conditions that will take our city to its appropriate place, a place where Atlanta has repeatedly been under outstanding leaders. Are there many more exciting roles to play? Certainly. Are there any more lasting in their significance or admirable in their success? I do not believe so. History always remembers those principled individuals who turn into the adverse winds and forge ahead undeterred. In a recent article by Financial Times contributor John Kay, he drew an insightful distinction between leaders who demonstrate political courage, speaking hard truths to the people, and acting decisively on their behalf in order to achieve a goal for the greater good, instead of those with their fingers to the wind, who are ill-suited for the inevitable challenges that come with public service. You see, he contends, and I agree, that an example of this is Winston Churchill, who is certainly one of the most admired political figures of the 20th century. Not because Churchill gave the public what they said they wanted. For example, his call for blood, toil, sweat, and tears would not improve his position in the polls. Instead, we remember the leader because he gave the people what they really wanted, which was genuine leadership in a time of crisis. Kay then draws a contrast, saying that if you compare Churchill to Neville Chamberlain, he was roundly vilified because in giving the public what it said it wanted and avoiding challenge and confrontation, he failed to provide the real leadership that people needed. On this point, Atlanta's history is instructive. Mayor Ivan Allen turned into the tide when he was one of the few major Southern elected officials who testified in favor of the Civil Rights Act. If Mayor William Hartsfield had not bet on Delta Airlines, they may very well still be in Monroe, Louisiana. People forget that he almost got beat after he made the deal to create the airport and bring Delta here. Ivan Allen's decision was a decision that almost surely ended his political career beyond the office of mayor. Mayor Sam Massell made the decision that Atlanta would be the center of commerce in the Southeast at a time when the Hyatt Regency Hotel was on its way to being the tallest building in the city. When you go outside, look at our skyline now. Ambassador Andrew Young said Atlanta was going to be an international city and was pilloried for traveling to the world's foreign capitals in search of investment for Atlanta. When he was done, what was left in his wake? Atlanta had captured the Olympics in 1996, and he left a legacy of $80 billion in investment to the city and to the region. Mayor Maynard Jackson charted a path of inclusion for women and minority-owned businesses that made Atlanta the center of African-American entrepreneurship in the United States. The reward for his courage was an environment in the city that was so difficult that his first job after being mayor of Atlanta was with a law firm in Chicago. But on Tuesday of this week, I stood shoulder to shoulder with his queen, Valerie Jackson, and we had a topping off ceremony for the international terminal to be named in his honor. I know with complete certainty this morning that when Mayor Shirley Franklin sought the office of mayor in 2000, that she did not know that she would be faced with the challenge of finding $3.2 billion to fund a complete overhaul of the water and sewer system of the city of Atlanta, or risk having to turn the city's water system over to the federal government and place it in receivership. The decision to do the hard thing resulted in $18 billion in economic development that was able to move forward because she did not turn away. Please give her a hand. Atlanta, we have been given a similar test in our time, and I am absolutely certain we will prove more than equal to it. My mother and father, Junius and Sylvia Reed, who are here today, remind me of this always, that we are more than equal to the task. So where are we now? As you know, our city and our nation finds itself in the midst of very challenging economic times, the breadth of which has not been experienced in many generations. Our citizens wrestle with genuine fear and uncertainty about their futures, as those with jobs face the risk of losing them, as businesses have been forced to tighten their belts. And those in search of jobs face an uphill struggle right now. Times are tight, and many Atlanta lives reflect that. Yet they are not alone. See, government is in many ways the aggregate of those individual experiences. We too are facing sobering economic realities. And like those we serve, we are equally compelled to do much more with far less, to stand up, work harder, and to deliver right now. Fortunately, the first small discernible signs of a national and regional recovery are emerging. Key sectors of Atlanta's economy are regaining a pulse. As that pulse quickens, new business, new jobs, and many new possibilities for capital will present themselves. But the degree and scope of this promising trend is all contingent on the groundwork that we lay today, starting in this room. Accordingly, 2010 is a unique and a vital year. The course of action we take over the next 12 months will have far-reaching implications on how the next decade will unfold in our great city. Will we fall behind through imprudence and inaction, or will we rise to the occasion and reconstruct the foundation on which we stand and on which this city was built? As I promised during my campaign, I embrace the responsibility of leadership in tough times with all that I have, with all that is in me. You see, I was aware of the city's challenges when I announced my intent to hold this office. And more than 100 days in, I am no less confident that the talented team of women and men we have assembled in my administration and the committed members of the Atlanta City Council and the Atlanta Judiciary can rectify it. Since taking office, my administration has set out on transforming our government, trying to lead by example, turning toward doing the hard things. The foundation of my campaign was built on my promise to bring down crime in this city. The foundation of my administration is being built on the fulfillment of that promise. Thus far, we have hired 103 new police officers. Crime between January and April 2010 is down 19% over the same period in 2009. Violent crime between January and April 2010 is down 21% over the same period. Average time to answer 911 calls between January and April 2010 has dropped from 16 seconds to 9 seconds. That might not seem like a lot. That may not seem like a lot, but when your life is on the line, seconds matter. Despite the progress we have made, we must remember that behind every single crime statistic, there is a person who has been impacted in ways that hurt our sense of community. It damages who we are. That is why in the 2011 budget, I will ask the Atlanta City Council to appropriate funds to hire an additional 100 police officers and for higher pay for our officers so that they can afford to live in the city that they have been sworn to protect. And in the area of public works, the percentage of garbage, recycling, and yard trimming collections being performed on the schedule every day has risen from 85% in January 2010 to over 99% in March 2010, moving towards Peter Raymond's goal of 99.9% for garbage and trash collection. Just in case you think we're not sweating the details, we absolutely are. Before the end of May, we will receive the report from our pension review panel led by John Malott. Upon receipt of that report, we must take every step which is within the power of the City of Atlanta's government to reduce the rapidly expanding pension obligation, an obligation which has grown between 9 and 14% every year for the last 6 years. And now 1 out of every $5 of the city's general fund budget goes to meet this debt. This risk jeopardizes the financial solvency of our city and must be addressed through responsible action right now. Another issue which is very close to my heart is the Centers of Hope initiative. I believe that we must invest in our children's future and prepare them for a better tomorrow, creating safe havens of esteem. Therefore, next week, I will appoint an advisory blue ribbon panel to develop recommendations on how to best realize the vision for Atlanta's Centers of Hope. Members on this panel will come from the civic community, the business community, the youth development community, and the political community. The community response to this empowering program has been tremendous and demonstrates the greatness of our city. And for anyone who has a doubt, we will build the Beltline. We will build the Civil and Human Rights Museum. And we must stand shoulder to shoulder with the Woodruff Art Center and do everything Atlanta can do to ensure their Performance Arts Center is built, because great cities have great art. I have said that I plan to wholeheartedly support our downtown businesses and bring conventions back to the city. Therefore, today, I am recommending that we start over and draft a new panhandling ordinance that works. What we have now does not stop professional begging, and it doesn't help people who are genuinely in need of services. The facts are in the figures. From 2005 to 2008, we have not had arrest under the panhandling ordinance. We need a law that protects our residents and visitors from those who would take advantage of their kindness by aggressively soliciting money for a living. And a law with unenforceable provisions doesn't help anyone, not our residents, not our visitors, not our business, and not those who are trying to build their lives. But please know that I will not take this approach without compassion. But we do have to be responsible in protecting what is an $11 billion industry that contributes 217,000 jobs to the city of Atlanta. So we will have a surge in strength, but as Atlanta always does, and as my predecessors did, we will have an equal surge of compassion through our Gateway Center. In proudly sharing a few of the achievements of my first 100 days in office, I am by no means cutting down the nets before the championship is won. We haven't even gotten warmed up. I know that there are many major contests yet to come, and candidly, I welcome them all. And I am deeply humbled by all that remains to be done in order to move us to the next level. You know, I recently read about how the famed attorney William Kunstler kept a reproduction of Michelangelo's statue of David on his desk. That statue is unique because it is the only important artistic work of David before he throws the stone to commence the battle with Goliath. Before he throws the stone. This timeless work of art sat there on Kunstler's desk as an admonition against weakness when facing trials some thought were unwinnable. Kunstler pondered the lesson inherent in the pose and thought, David is standing there thinking, do I dare? Do I dare? He's standing there thinking that if I throw the rock and I miss, I am one dead Israelite. If I just wound him, y'all know that was real. If I just wound him, I am in the same position. But if I strike him and defeat him, I have done a great deal for myself and, more importantly, for my people. You see, David reflects that moment of hesitation that each of us faces before we dare to do something great, something special or unique. Moments when we place ourselves in jeopardy. But if we lack the will to act on these thoughts, if we just allow it to remain a faint inkling in our minds or in our hearts, if we think that we can get away with something that nobody will know, no one will know, more often than not we will find that there is a huge price to be paid in such a personal failing. You see, each of us must decide whether we will live with the memory that your moment came and went and you did not respond. So the question for us now, Atlanta, is what are we going to do? We are in such a moment, right here, right now. But I know that we're all prepared to dare, to act boldly, and do what needs to be done at this critical moment in our city's history. to make the hard choices together. So to you, Atlanta, I ask, do we dare? Do we dare? After 100 days in office, I stand here certain of one thing. I ran for mayor not because I wanted to hold the office, but because of the good that could be done with it. So to you I say, let's go. Let's be great. I know we can. Come with me. Godspeed, everybody.